I'm here to tell you why your videos suck, but more importantly, how to fix it. First things first, who am I and why am I saying your footage sucks? I am a cinematographer and director based out of Boise, Idaho, and over the past couple years, I have shot so many different projects and I've learned so much. So I just want to help any of you who are getting into your journey or who have been in it for a very long time with finding your cinematography and your visual style, rather than just following the videography rules. And when I say your footage sucks, I don't mean it is bad. I just want to come on here and list 5 common mistakes that I have noticed within a lot of videographers' work. And these are all going to be tips that you can use, but they are not rules, except for the last one. But let's move on and break each of these down. Number 1 is not using the waveform to its full potential. I will explain how to use the waveform real quick, and then we will look at how to really get the most out of your footage. The waveform is a graph that allows you to see where your luminance levels are in your videos. It runs vertically, with whites being at the top and the blacks being at the bottom. Looking at it now, you can see there are lots of colors and it's spanning across the horizontal plane, and this is a 1-to-1 readout of your image. You can see the blue at the top, which is the sky, and it is also the brightest part of the image, and then the grass is in the middle of the image, and this point here is darker, and that is my shirt and the camera. And if I push it super far, you can see that now the top and the bottom are much more bold. These are our pure white and pure black points. If it flattens out, that means it is peaking, so you're clipped. Now that you know how to use the waveform, I will explain how to get even more out of it. This image is a behind the scenes shot of a recent music video I did, which will be coming out soon, and I will definitely do a breakdown because it was actually my first time shooting raw video as well as shooting with a Blackmagic camera. But this is just a conversion from S-Log3 to Rec 709, and it looks good. The exposure is nice. There's a lot of detail, as you can see from the waveform, and a lot of people would say that this is enough, but there's so much more you can do. First things first, let's look at our waveform, and we can see there's a ton of room above and below our data. That is all room that we can use. I always go in and with whatever software you're using, just grab the darks and bring them down, and then grab your lights and bring them up, and boom, now we have a more contrasty image. And all we did was just take the data that we had and expand on it. And if you want to learn more, I recommend checking out my coloring video where I dive into HDR and log wheels and how to get even more out of your footage. Time for number 2, choosing the wrong lens. I won't spend too much time on this one, but lens selection is extremely crucial for finding your creative style. You guys probably know by now not to use ultra wides for portraits or not to use vintage lenses for corporate work, but remember, you can do whatever you want. These may be rules, but I learned I love ultra wide shots of people close up, which breaks this rule 1,000 times over. So when I say choosing the wrong lens, I mean not choosing the right one. These two shots are almost identical, but the one on the right looks so much better. And yes, I shifted it a tiny bit and lowered the camera, but you just have to trust yourself when you film. If you see something and it doesn't look exactly like you want, experiment a little. Try a different lens, move the camera a tiny bit, because those tiny changes can take your shot from average and not really having any of your creative style to really conveying exactly what you wanted. Also, I keep mentioning rules and breaking them, but I promise if you stay for the last tip, you will understand why. Number 3, lack of shot variety. Medium shot, medium shot, medium shot, medium shot, medium shot. We get it. You know how to do medium shots. And this issue is probably the most common one that I see because so many of us get really set on this angle or this framing, and then we tend to not stray away from it and end up making our whole film one giant medium shot. And there's so much value in wide shots or close-ups or even ultra close-ups. So make sure if you are planning something, whether that is a shot list or storyboard, that you include some wides and some tights. When I planned this shoot, I made sure to include an ultra wide, a medium, and a close-up. That way I had plenty of framing options and great ways to help break up the video. You may be the best cinematographer and make the best image, so don't let these medium shots stop you from getting variety and different looks for your film. Another avenue of shot variety is movement, or more importantly, the lack of. And I'm a big part of this issue. For some reason, I did not believe in tripods. I couldn't tell you why, but I must have had the biggest vendetta against them. But now they are probably the most valuable tool that I have. No fancy camera movements, just a nice frame for my character to live in. So incorporate both types of shots, movement in the frame and movement of the frame. The way I like to think about it is you want to show your viewer the setting. So set your camera down and allow them to look around. On to number 4, ignoring lighting. Take the extra time and light your scenes. Even if you don't know how to light correctly, experiment and learn. I have a few videos on my channel about lighting, so feel free to just go check those out. But for me, a huge part of my videography journey was learning how to light properly. No matter what situation you are in, you are in control of the light, so don't let it control your shots. A super easy and cheap way to help you with that is just a simple 5-in-1 reflector. And I remember when I was starting out, I didn't have a softbox or a light, so I would just use the diffusion portion of it and then put it in front of a bulb, and it really helped soften up the image. Even to this day, I use them to help reflect sunlight or use them as negative fill. And while this is a very effective way to help you shape light, learning how to use it is necessary. I will definitely be coming out with a video in the future on how to use each piece of the 5-in-1 because it is so important. So definitely subscribe, that way you don't miss it. Finally, on to number 5, shooting with intention. I want you to think about this for a second. How many times have you gone out and shot something, and either in the edit or right after you stopped recording, you realize, what was I even filming? Like, what was that shot even supposed to be? Well, by shooting with intention, now you can go shoot something horrible, but at least you know why you did it. Nah, but for real, what I'm trying to say is that you should always know what you want. Planning your shots is the best way to do this because you can go into each section with a visual of what you are trying to get out of it. But I know that this isn't always the case. Some things are more run and gun and you can't plan your shots. Even just taking 1 second, looking around, checking the light, pointing your camera around can be the difference between one of those shots that makes you rethink your entire career and one of those shots that makes you remember why you love creating videos. If you are breaking these so-called videography rules, it doesn't matter if you do it with intention. If you can explain to someone why you did it that certain way, then that was the correct way for you to do it. Thank you all, and if you have made it this far into the video, I appreciate you so much, but I will see you next Tuesday at 11 a.m.
Hello?